everybody, I'm Lara Trump coming to you from Trump Tower in New York City. Thanks so much for joining me to explore the issues that matter most to hardworking Americans who are ready to drain the swamp in Washington, D.C. We are so excited to connect with you on social media and overcome the traditional biased news media trying to block President Trump's agenda to make America great again. Today, we discuss the long-term implications of the Trump presidency and the impact that the president will have on the federal courts, the economy, and the media. Who better to consider the long-term outlook for the Trump presidency than one of President Trump's best millennial supporters, a media commentator, a recent law school graduate, Madison Jessiato. Madison, thank you so much for joining me. We're so excited to have you.
It's so good to be with you, Laura.
Thank you, and we want to get your insights on the benefits the president will deliver in the long run. So let's start at the top. One of the great outcomes of the 2016 election was President Trump's ability to appoint conservative constitutionalists to the federal bench. Everyone knows about the incredible selection of Neil Gorsuch for the Supreme Court. But tell us about his other appointments in the federal courts so far.
Sure, I think the federal judiciary is really where his lasting legacy is going to lie long after his presidency is over. And when we look at the federal judiciary, let's take a look at the appellate courts first. So he's already appointed 9 and had confirmed 9 judges to the appellate courts. He has 9 more awaiting confirmation. When we compare this to President Obama, he only had 3 at this time. On top of that, we have 6 district court judges that have been confirmed. And according to the administration, they're hoping to have 145 district court judges and 17 appellate court judges confirmed very soon. I mean, this is huge. He is nominating these people at unprecedented rates.
It's so important. The courts are incredibly important to where the country is headed. If you think about it, some of these judges will serve on the bench for 30 or 40 years. What will this mean for President Trump's policies and how the courts interpret them over the years and the decades to come?
Yeah, so since January, we've seen a lot of these circuit court judges specifically, and these courts that have been, attacking President Trump's policies. We look at the 9th District Court to be specific when we look at things like the travel ban and immigration.
Yep.
And so by having judges appointed by President Trump, this will have a lasting impact. A lot of these judges that he is nominating are young, and so having them on the bench, they'll be there for a long time, and they'll be able to bring originalism back to the bench, just as we saw with Neil Gorsuch in the Supreme Court. A lot of people voted for President Trump on this issue alone, and so to have this type of impact is going to be incredible, and like I said before, it's going to be lasting impact.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, listen, there's no denying the impact that the president has had on the economy. Growth is at 3.3% right now. There's a lot of new hope for especially young families out there, including new jobs, better pay. They're already starting to see a difference because of President Trump's policies, aren't they?
Oh, absolutely. And when we're looking at the economy, we can gauge his success in terms of highs and lows. You talk about the 3.3% growth rate. We've seen that for multiple quarters in a row, which hasn't happened in years. On top of that, consumer confidence has hit an all-time high. Unemployment's hit an all-time low. And since January, we've been able to create over 1.5 million jobs, which is putting hardworking Americans back to work, people that have been trying to get jobs for years.
Yep, another great reason that President Trump wanted to run and that people put him in office. Exactly right. The president himself has said that tax cuts will be like rocket fuel for the economy. What do you think are the real benefits that people are going to see from a booming economy over the next 10 years?
Sure, one of the things that I talk to people all across this country about is wage increases. They have not seen their wages increase in years. So now we're going to see wage increases, which is going to allow them more take-home pay in their pockets to take care of their families every single month. On top of that, taxes are going to be simplified, and that's just incredible because I talk to people and they say, every year they don't know how much money they're going to have that summer for their kids for activities. They don't know what they're going to have to pay in taxes. And so by simplifying the tax code, what we've done is make these people more aware of what they're going to have to pay, and on top of that, they're going to be paying less.
Yeah, beneficial to all of us. I would love to know about my taxes too. Every year I've had to use TurboTax, so now
tell me about it.
This will be much simpler. Now let me ask you, Madison, about one of our absolute favorite topics, the fake news media. President Trump has really changed the way that people look at the media since he started running for office, and with good reason. What does this mean for the future of the media? Can their reporting ever be trusted by the public again?
You know, since he started running for president, he was able to expose that the mainstream media is not only biased, but that they're working against his agenda specifically. And so I think this is a really scary thing for Americans across this country, because the media is supposed to be unbiased and they're supposed to be a trusted source for news. But, you know, when it comes to whether we can trust them again or not, I think, yes, we can, but it's going to take a lot of change on their part, and they're going to have to be held accountable for what they've done. We just looked back a few weeks ago with ABC and Brian Ross's fake news story. Not only did this hurt the Trump presidency, but this hurt Americans everywhere when we saw the stock market temporarily plummet as a result of this. So we need to hold him and these news organizations and other reporters like this accountable, make sure that we're getting big, real news stories back out there.
Absolutely. Now, this commander-in-chief will not let the media filter get in his way of directly communicating with the American people. He goes to social media, as we all know. Do you think future presidents might follow in President Trump's example, or is he a one-of-a-kind social media communicator, do you think?
You know, I do think he's a one-of-a-kind social media communicator, but at the same time, I also believe that future presidents should follow in his example. He's reaching out directly to the American people. You know, he's not going through third-party sources. He's giving them his thoughts and his opinions on these issues directly through social media. It's incredible, and it's going to be the future of our country in communication. A lot of young people, specifically millennials, get their news on social media, and that may be their only source. So by being able to hear from President Trump directly, they're hearing real news instead of hearing fake news or alternative news from other sources. And so I think presidents and all politicians in the future should take note of what he's been doing.
No, you're exactly right. And Madison, thank you so much. Your insight on this and your perspective are great, and we really appreciate you. The long-term outlook for President Trump is incredible, and we thank you for being one of his greatest supporters.
Thanks, Lara.
And thanks to you for joining me as well. We are so excited to connect with you in new ways to help President Trump make America great again. I'm Lara Trump from Trump Tower in New York City. Good night, everybody.